Welcome to The Explainer. Today, I am going to be stepping into the role of your personal nutrition coach. We're going to tackle a really massive nutritional blind spot, but we're going to do it in a way that entirely respects your culinary traditions. So, no fancy, unrecognizable foods, and absolutely no radical overhauls. We're just going to make smart, highly effective upgrades to the traditional Indian vegetarian meals you already know and love. Let's dive in.
Right off the bat, I want you to ask yourself this question. Really think about it, because whether you're middle class, super wealthy, or somewhere in between, the traditional Indian diet makes hitting your daily protein goals surprisingly difficult. There's this super common misconception that a lack of protein is strictly tied to poverty, but the data actually shows that even when money is absolutely no object, the default traditional dietary patterns just don't feature protein as the star of the meal. Instead, carbohydrates completely take center stage.
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. A staggering 80% of India is not getting enough protein. 80%. This isn't just some random statistical glitch either. It's driven by a bunch of complex historical and cultural factors. There's a deep-seated cultural bias against meat, which is historically the most convenient, high-quality protein. Couple that with a widespread prevalence of lactose intolerance, which actually affects up to 70% of people in certain regions, and a massive agricultural shift driven by colonial food security mismanagement that heavily prioritize grains like rice and wheat. All of those things stack up to create a massive national protein deficit.
So, here is our coaching roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The assessment. 2. The science class. 3. Busting protein myths. 4. High-protein staples. And 5. Your upgraded meal plan. We're going from understanding the underlying biological problem all the way to a highly practical daily action plan.
Step 1. The assessment. We're going to define the protein gap by looking at what protein actually is at a microscopic level. Because honestly, understanding the what is absolutely crucial before we can fix the how.
So proteins are these incredibly complex, sophisticated molecules built from smaller building blocks called amino acids. Think of them like Legos. There are about 20 of these blocks in total, but the crucial point here is that 9 of these are deemed essential. And essential literally means your body simply cannot manufacture them from scratch. If you don't eat them, your body doesn't get them. And if your body doesn't get them, it fundamentally cannot function properly. Your entire nutrition strategy hinges on sourcing these 9 specific blocks from your daily meals.
Step 2. The science class. Let's see how biology actually uses these blocks to build your body, using its own fascinating version of software.
Every single cell in your body uses this exact 3-step manufacturing process to decode your DNA instructions. It's kind of amazing. First, a process called transcription creates an RNA photocopy of your DNA so the precious original doesn't get damaged. Next, during translation, a cellular machine called a ribosome reads that RNA code. Finally, that ribosome acts like a tiny robotic assembly arm, pulling in the exact amino acids you ate from your diet and physically linking them together to build everything from your muscle tissues to your digestive enzymes. It's the exact same rulebook for all life on Earth.
To put that into perspective, let's look at one specific, vital protein, collagen. It makes up a third of all the protein in your body. It is literally the foundational structure of your skin, bones, tendons, and joints. But here's the catch. Our natural ability to produce collagen drops significantly as we get older. This is exactly why growing children need protein to build these structures in the first place, and why aging family members desperately need to increase their protein intake. They need to supply their cells with those essential amino acid building blocks to fight off natural collagen loss and keep their bones and joints strong.
Step 3. Busting common protein myths. Before we can practically fix your protein gap, we absolutely have to tear down some deep-seated cultural myths that are probably holding your personal nutrition back right now.
Okay, look at this reality check on the macronutrients in dal. Notice how the 85% carbohydrate bar completely towers over the 15% protein bar? A lot of vegetarians confidently believe dal is this massive primary protein source, but as you can clearly see, it is overwhelmingly made up of complex carbohydrates. Now, dal is absolutely fantastic for your gut health, don't get me wrong, but only about 15% of its makeup is actually protein. If you rely solely on dal to hit your protein goals, you are going to be consuming an overwhelming surplus of carbohydrates in the process.
And on top of that, it's an incomplete protein. On its own, dal just doesn't contain all 9 of those essential amino acids in the right proportions your body requires. But don't worry, there's a really simple fix. Plant sources just need to be combined. By pairing your dal with dairy, like a cup of yogurt, or with grains, like a wheat chapati or some rice, you effectively pool the amino acids together.
This ensures your cells get exactly what they need to build complete proteins.
Another massive myth we need to bust is the widespread fear of whey protein supplements. Let's just look at the logic for a second. If you take milk, use heat and churning to remove the water and protein, you get pure milk fat, also known as ghee. And culturally, we consider ghee an absolute superfood. However, if you take that exact same milk and simply remove the fat, isolating the protein instead, you get whey protein. Yet somehow, whey is culturally misunderstood as dangerous or unnatural. It's perfectly safe and a brilliant, convenient way to fill your protein gap.
And let's clear the air on soy too. Soy protein contains phytoestrogen, which is a plant-based estrogen. Because of the word estrogen, there's this viral myth that it lowers testosterone. Listen, there is absolutely zero scientific evidence that it affects human testosterone levels at all. Eating soy will absolutely not make men feminine. And similarly, eating a high-protein diet will not make women suddenly look like muscular bodybuilders. That takes high testosterone, intense weight training. Protein just makes you healthy and resilient.
Step 4. High-protein staples. So, knowing the science and clearing the myths, what should we actually be eating? Let's look at the best, most affordable ingredients you can grab right now at your local Indian market.
We've categorized your staples into tiers here so you can easily estimate your nutrition visually. Notice how whey powders, soy chunks, and legumes sit comfortably right at the top for protein density. Tofu and paneer are fantastic, but they sit in the middle tier. Why? Well, because you have to account for their fat content. In fact, roughly 70% of the calories in paneer actually come from fat. Finally, nuts, seeds, and whole grains are in the bottom tier. They are extremely healthy, but their calories are heavily dominated by fats and carbs, offering only smaller amounts of protein. A great visual rule of thumb: aim to fill a full quarter of your dinner plate specifically with those top-tier dense proteins rather than letting the bottom-tier grains take over the whole dish.
And finally, Step 5. Your upgraded meal plan. Now for the action plan. We are going to use a clever Trojan horse strategy to seamlessly sneak these top-tier proteins into the traditional Indian vegetarian meals you are already cooking daily.
You seriously do not need fancy new recipes or bizarre diets. Look at this daily timeline. In the morning, you can seamlessly incorporate paneer or tofu by simply grating them directly into your dosa or idli batter. Even better, mix in some unflavored whey or plant protein powder. In the afternoon, knead unflavored protein powder right into your chapati dough. Fun fact, the extra protein actually helps it brown beautifully. And for your evening meal, just toss soy chunks or legumes into your regular vegetable sabzi. Soy chunks are nearly 50% protein by dry weight. It's the exact same food you normally eat, just highly upgraded. You can also make these incredibly simple, high-protein snack swaps. Instead of using calorie-dense, fat-heavy mayonnaise, take some paneer or tofu, add spices, and puree it into a rich, creamy, high-protein spread. Take your regular dahi and drain it through a cheesecloth to create thick, high-protein hung curd. Or simply mix unflavored whey protein and some crushed nuts directly into your daily raita. These are tiny, tiny habits that drastically push your macro balance in the right direction. So as your coach, here is your baseline goal. Aim for at least 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day. For a 70-kilogram adult, that's about 58 grams daily. And remember, that's the minimum. If you are an aging family member fighting collagen loss or you're highly active, you should be adjusting that target upward, closer to 1 or 1.2 grams per kilogram. By modifying your chapati dough and sides, you'll find hitting this number surprisingly easy. And to track this without losing your mind, just use common household tools. Know that a standard katori, a small household bowl of cooked soy chunks or a standard tablespoon of whey powder equals a specific amount of protein. Just use those simple tools to easily tally up your minimums. All right, to leave you with something truly mind-blowing about these amino acids we've been tracking today, back in 1969, scientists investigated a meteorite called Murchison that crashed in Australia. Inside that space rock, they found amino acids. But the crazy part? The proportion of left-handed and right-handed amino acid configurations inside it perfectly matched what we find in life right here on Earth.
Which leads us to this incredible reality. One of the specific amino acids they found inside that meteorite was glutamic acid. That is the exact same amino acid found in the pulp of a tomato that gives it that delicious MSG umami flavor. It literally falls from the stars. So as you upgrade your vegetarian diet and nourish your cells with these vital building blocks, ask yourself, are the building blocks of your body actually from outer space? Keep hitting your protein goals, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.